You have probably heard about the speculations about glitter-like particles in atmospheric spraying, sometimes tied to geoengineering or climate modification projects. Let's break it down into facts, theories, and context, because glitter in the sky could mean a few different things. First, what are people actually seeing? Some people report shiny, reflective particles falling from the sky or sparkling in sunlight, especially after certain aircraft contrails, or unusual cloud formations. Possible explanations include 1. Natural ice crystals in cirrus clouds, which are high altitude. Thin, wispy clouds. If sunlight hits these crystals at just the right angle, they can sparkle too. Industrial pollution particles, especially from smelting or other metal-heavy processes, can also reflect light and might be mistaken for glitter. 3. Geoengineering aerosols. This is the spraying of tiny solid or liquid particles into the atmosphere for purposes of controlling the weather or, more controversially, managing the climate. It's mostly theoretical or experimental at this point, but one idea is to spray reflective particles into the stratosphere to bounce sunlight away from the Earth. Proponents say this could offset global warming, but it's very controversial. We'll talk more about this in a minute. 4. Atmospheric research releases. For example, NASA and NOAA have used reflective tracer particles in some experiments. Next, why would reflective particles be sprayed? And does it really work like glitter? Well, yes, that's sort of the idea. Climate scientists have proposed many ways to limit global warming, but one of the more out there ideas is called solar radiation management, often abbreviated SRM. As the name suggests, it involves managing or manipulating the radiation that is energy from the sun that reaches Earth's surface. The theory is that we could release huge quantities of tiny reflective particles into the upper atmosphere and stratosphere to bounce more sunlight away from the planet, which would cool the surface. The concept has been around since the 1960s, but it's most often discussed in the context of geoengineering, which is deliberately and usually artificially manipulating the climate system. Proponents of SRM say that it could buy us time to reduce greenhouse gas levels, while also offsetting some of the warming that has already been caused by those gases. Some researchers have suggested that releasing reflective particles could have a similar effect to the cooling we see after large volcanic eruptions. For example, the 1991 eruption of Mount Pinatubo in the Philippines shot tons of sulfate aerosols into the stratosphere. These aerosols reflected sunlight and lowered Earth's average temperature by about half a degree for 2 years. Now, hypothetically, we could trigger a similar response by putting those particles up there ourselves. One proposal is to use sulfur dioxide, which reacts with water vapor and aerosols in the stratosphere to form sulfate aerosols. Another idea is to spray calcium carbonate particles, which are good at reflecting visible light but not infrared, which is what we want because we don't want to trap more heat in the lower atmosphere. Still, another proposal is to use aluminum-based compounds. A glitter effect could happen if the particles are reflective like mica flakes or metallic dust. But again, we're talking about spraying vast quantities of these materials, not just a little bit for an art installation. Now, have we done this? Yes, but not on the scale that would be necessary to offset global warming. There have been a few confirmed cases of reflective particle use. NASA's nighttime cloud experiments in the 1960s used reflective barium and aluminum oxide to trace high-altitude wind patterns, and in the mid-20th century, some weather modification programs used silver iodide crystals. These were designed to act as seeds for cloud formations. They don't necessarily glint in sunlight, but if they do, that could be mistaken for glitter fallout. There's also military chaff, which is made of aluminum-coated fibers. Chaff is used for radar interference and sometimes is mistaken for glitter fallout, though it's not released into the atmosphere in a way that would have a climatic effect. Aside from the general unease about geoengineering and lack of public consent, or awareness for large-scale aerosol releases? There are several reasons. First, we don't know what the long-term health effects might be or what the ecological effects might be. Second, we don't really know how to distinguish between natural atmospheric phenomena and ones that are caused by human activity. So it's hard to know whether or not something is working or whether it's causing harm. And third, the reason this question came up in the first place, it is hard to know how much of a cooling effect we see from injecting reflective particles into the atmosphere. Some studies suggest it would be less than you'd expect based on the amount of energy that is reflected. Others suggest that the effect could be larger because of how clouds form and interact with aerosols. More research is needed. I hope that clears things up. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to see more.